So there are a lot of different kinds of jobs in security, but there's one thing that they all have in common. So even once you've gotten one of them, you can't really afford to coast. A career in security, and we've heard some of our speakers today talk about this, is kind of like a career of constant self-improvement and education and new skill acquiring. You'll always be learning new things, absorbing new technologies, maybe even more importantly for today's purposes, even expanding your professional networks and finding ways to engage with and maybe contribute back to the security company. So with that in mind, I'd like to introduce the moderator for our next session, which is a panel. Our moderator is going to be Mansi Takar. She's the Chief Operating Officer for the Women's Society of Cyberjitsu, and she's put together a great group of panelists who I will let her introduce. I'm really looking forward to a great discussion on hacking your growth and leveling up your career. So thanks for putting together this panel, Mansi.
Yeah, thanks so much, David, for the kind introduction. So hi, everyone. We're very excited for this panel. We have put together folks from just starting out, so like grad student, to CISOs and aspiring CISOs. So I'll welcome them all on the stage and ask them kindly to turn on their video cameras. And then we'll just get started. So like David mentioned, right, so my daytime jobs have mostly been corporations, but I spend my free time with smaller organizations that are at the intersection of diversity and tech. During the summers, you can find me in Vegas at DEF CON, pulling cables and securing what is referred to as the world's most hostile network. I'll let the rest of the panelists introduce themselves. Mary, do you want to go next?
Oh, you just put me out there. Hi, my name is Mary Chaney. It says on my thing that I am the owner, managing attorney at the Cybersecurity law firm of Texas. I'm here representing my organization, Minorities in Cybersecurity, which is what you see in the background. I am the chairwoman, CEO, and president of an organization I started almost 2 years ago.
Cool. Thanks for that. Gina?
Hi, yes, my name is Gina Sharp. I am the former CISO for the Black Cybersecurity Association. I've been within the industry, cybersecurity and information technology for about 20 plus years, working in multiple roles. And I'm literally here to empower individuals as they go about seeking entry into cybersecurity.
And last but not least, Apur.
Hello, everyone. My name is Apur Singh Gautam. So I'm currently doing my master's in cybersecurity, but I have been in security scene for a long time now. And for the past 3 years, I've been into threat intelligence, more towards the dark web side, and I enjoy the work. And yeah.
Cool. So as we can tell, right, from your experiences, whether you've just like taking courses now or leading organizations or previously led organizations, what in your way, can you share like what is a way that you've hacked your growth? Like what's something that you use to level up or be where you are? We can make it an open forum.
So you're just gonna throw it out there and not gonna give somebody? Come on now,
no,
moderator.
It's just like, you know what? I'm here. I'm gonna listen to. Like, I want the actionable advice, so let's just give it to them, right? No,
hack my growth. So let me go through. All right. So I started off as an information systems person. I'm an engineer by trade that went to law school, that became a special agent for the FBI investigating cybercrime, that ultimately started one business, then went into corporate America, and then started another business, now back in corporate America. I think that for those that are aspiring to get in the field, it is very, very, very important to you, once you start to figure out what it is you want to do, to know how to hunt. And I say this specifically because there's a lot of things that you can get involved in, but you have to understand for the roles that you're looking for, what is more likely that these organizations are involved in. For instance, if you are looking for entry-level security operations center role, your best bet is to go after your large banks, healthcare organizations that have training programs to bring people on. If you're, if you want to get into security tools, there are, service providers out there. You can get into the sales side. You just have to know where to look and then focus your attention on where to grow. So, what I've done in my career is, I've gone, wherever the wind blew for me. It was really whatever piqued my curiosity. I just, at least I would say that going from being an engineer to the law school to being a special agent, those were just opportunities that presented themselves just by me being involved in those particular areas. Is young kid coming from humble beginnings, as you continue to move up, different things start to appear for you. So I'll stop there and let the others chime in.
So this is Gina. So what I've done to actually try to navigate through this career is literally aligning myself with like-minded individuals. That has been very helpful because it allowed me to engage in conversations that I, wouldn't normally have with individuals that I maybe meet in the classroom. So it gave me an opportunity to literally speak the language. And so I literally sought out organizations where I could align myself with those type of individuals. As a matter of fact, my first organization was Women's Society of Cyberjitsu. That was the first organization where I was actually able to hack my career, align myself with individuals who were in the industry and they were learning just as much as I was learning, and they were willing to help and give back and provide the support that was needed and provide direction. As a matter of fact, Lisa Jiggett, she actually became my mentor. And so that's another part of hacking the career, was having a mentor, and not having a mentor to hold your hand, but she, pretty much we had the relationship, but it was from afar. And it wasn't something that said, hey, you're my mentor, you're my mentee. It was organically grown. And so that was also very helpful in being able to model myself after individuals who may have been in roles that I was actually interested in. So those were some of the ways that I, hacked my career. And then once, I became that security professional, this whole term they coined unicorns, it's going into these roles and not just saying, okay, well, you were hired to do this and that's all you're going to do. No, so I was hired to perform a certain role, but I allowed myself to grow by actually taking on leadership roles, being a mentor to other individuals, asking for more responsibilities, and not just becoming a security technologist, but actually understanding policy. Because as a security technologist, you're literally there to implement the technology, but why? And what does the policy say? So I use those tactics to hack my career by allowing myself to be so open to explore other avenues as opposed to what I was hired to do.
Yeah, I sense this common theme, right, between both you and Mary, is that like open to new opportunities, whether that's coming from like a title or whether that's just coming in expanding growth, and skill sets. So that's key for sure. I know that the reason I got into the NOC or being like a NOC goon at DEF CON, it's not because I have like years of networking experience or anything. It's because I was like, no, this is something I'm really interested in. I want to learn more about it. I got the certs required. And then I kept on at it, whether it was bugging the goons, whether it was like just figure out like what is my way in. So everyone always says like I social engineered myself in, but that's it's just that, right? It's being open to, hey, not having those self-limiting beliefs. Upward, what are your thoughts on this?
So for me, it was basically deciding which domain I want to go in. Like going into cybersecurity, that I decided way earlier, but which particular domain, because there are a lot of domains out there in security. So it was more of connecting with others, either on Twitter, LinkedIn, and like in person also, and who are already in different domains, whether it's pen testing and uh, like threat intel, which I like, which I'm in right now, or some other domain, and talk to them like what's your day to day work like look like, and how much time do you have to invest in your thing, and how much did you learn before getting into the field, and so on. Because like you can't work in every domain. I mean, you can, but it will take a lot of time. Like you will do 2 months in this, 2 months in that, and so it was more of that. And with time I talked to many people and then came to conclusion, okay, I like threat intel. I started with it and I started enjoying it. So I think connecting with others, that's what helped me. And basically surrounding myself with people from different domains, not just one particular domain within security. So that helped me a lot.
Yeah, that's really interesting, right? Someone recently told me that like you should, if you want to check out who your tribe or who you're surrounding yourself with, just check who's on your like Twitter feed. You know, like are they all talking about just this one thing? Then you know you're too narrow-minded and you need to kind of expand your growth. And I checked that out really quick, and after that I was like, no, here are all these new people I want to follow. But yeah, so that was again a common theme between all three of yours was to reach out and kind of develop this community tribe. You know, Gina specifically mentioned Women's Society of Cyber Jitsu. What are some other communities, and you know, how can someone who's interested in cyber, or someone who's already in the cyber field, join them? Mary, I know you have your own organizations. If you want to share a bit about it.
Oh no, that's fine. My organization, Minorities in Cybersecurity, it meets individuals where they are in their field. So understanding my experience is unique. I came out of the FBI going into director and above roles, so I didn't have to figure out the domain. I always had oversight over the entire domain. Even at the FBI as their information security officer, I always had a broader view of information security and physical security as well. And so, you know, that's, you know, when we're talking about what you guys can do to get into this field and what your tribe looks like, you have to understand. I've had mentors, coaches, sponsors, advocates. I've had all of them, right? And that helped me, because once I got out into private industry, then the executive level is still a whole different ball game, right? And so that right there means something different. Culture means something different. Being a leader and running teams means something different. So if I look at the advice that I give younger professionals, it is understanding that, one, it can be overwhelming thinking you have to do every last single thing in order to get into this space. The one thing you need is stamina, period, because you will be hired in an organization, maybe for just one skill set. But what you need to do before you take that role is to see what kind of career development opportunities that organization has for you once you get there. So you have to look at it not as, you know, narrow-minded as I want to be, you know, in vulnerability management, this is what I'm going to do. Understanding that if you get there, and you could be there for a while doing that very same thing if they don't have a plan for you. So you have to take responsibility for your own career and your own development and understand, okay, so I want to do vulnerability management, but is this company going to allow me to go in and do a little pen testing? Is this company going to allow me to do a little threat intel? So understanding those things, right? And you can be around people and you can, get involved with other organizations to expose you to different things, similar to the summit, similar to, many of the organizations that out there. Getting back to your original question, my organization is focusing on building leaders, right? I'm ultimately trying to keep as many minorities and women in the field as possible. So as we matriculate up into the management level roles and above, we see more diversity in those spaces, because unfortunately we still tend to lose a lot of folks from entry level and up until that first, getting outside of individual contributor into management. So I'm trying to assist with keeping that pipeline fed. And so if we have 500 people coming into the field, for lack of a better example, 3 years later, we have 500 people and 250 of them that want to go, they can now mature into that space, into a management type of role, if that's what they're looking for.
That's cool. So I'm going to piggyback on, right? So stamina is something that's needed. And I think that's goes with when you're trying to find your tribe and your community, right? Like that's something you want to align with. This other people also want to kind of level up themselves. What do you do to avoid the burnout that comes with constantly trying to be like, okay, this is next, this is next? It's going a little bit off topic, but
you're asking me? Oh, okay. Well, the burnout is going to come if I found that if you're not continuously challenging young professionals to learn something new, they get burned out faster. Because it can get tedious, it can get boring, it can be repetitive. So, when I've ran teams, I've had curriculum for them to follow, just so they can, once they master a certain level, then they're moving on to something else. And I had in matriculation from my L1, L2, L3 to cyber intel to incident response, maybe reverse engineering. There's a baseline, and then, allow people to naturally progress. But if you are an L1 SOC analyst for more than 18 months, you're probably going to get that burnt out, because it's repetitive and it's tedious and it's noise. It's very, very, very noisy. So it's challenging someone to, go to that next level, and providing them with that opportunity to now just, oh no, I'm not just handling incident tickets. I'm not just saying, go clean this virus off of Mary's machine. But now I'm looking at it like, well, I have 5 different PCs in a certain area that have the same type of virus. What's going on there? And then now it's building on that foundation.
Speaking of like leadership and in the community, right? Apur, Gina, what are your thoughts in terms of finding, whether WSC or Apur, which organization you're part of, like how do you build your leadership in that tribe?
Mostly I don't have one particular what do you call tribe or one particular organization in mind. It's like over the past years I've been part of so many different clubs, organizations, conferences. So you get to be part of different things, like whether it's some besides conference, whether it's science or your local security meetup group. So that has been helping me, like being part of that, whether it's giving talks, whether it's helping with something else, or whether it's helping the speakers, helping whether they have some things like creating presentation or some other moderating kind of thing for that particular what do you call speaking session. So helping with them, connecting with them, or connecting with that entire club, getting to know what different people have or what different people are doing, that's been I think helping. And also like taking up that initiative. So if you are a part of a club and if they do speaking sessions, and if you know a topic really well, ask them whether I can give a talk on this particular topic or not. So I think that that will help everyone. I mean, that's been helping me because I took that initiative. And honestly, I was very afraid of going on stage, speaking in front of people. But I was good at one topic, and I asked the people who were in charge whether I can give or no, and like I did it. So like gradually you will be in that that you will be handling everything like in that spot. So I think that will help.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. And I love the fact we're talking about like volunteering, right? Like giving back to the community that you yourself want to grow in. And that's so huge. I know that there are upcoming conferences. Women's Society of Cyber Jiu-Jitsu has an upcoming conference. Diana Initiative is coming up, right? There are a bunch of B-sides also coming up these days. And most of them are going to be remote. So if you want to participate, right, whether as a attendee, whether as like something kind of volunteering and helping plan the CTF or being kind of that kind of reviewer, all these opportunities are definitely available and open. Gina, what are your thoughts in tribe and succeeding in like, that?
Yeah, so my tribe is Women's Society of Cyber Jiu-Jitsu, right? So I was with them since the inception. And so they remain my tribe. Anywhere I go, any challenges or support that I need, I'm always able to reach back to them. A lot of times, I'm either the only female in security on a program or the only Black female on the security program. And so then I need support, not because I'm weak or anything, is because there are a lot of challenges that go on and I need to be able to communicate that to a support group so that we can collaborate and speak on it. And then when I'm in certain situations where I'm literally by myself, I know that I have my tribe, even though they're not in my space, but they're in my spirit when I walk in the door. So those individuals that are with WSC are part of my tribe. I also belong to other organizations. I'm a part of Mary's group. I'm a part of ICMCP. I'm part of Black Cybersecurity Association. So I'm a big, advocate for individuals, seeking out other organizations that provide value to them, not because of who's there, but going somewhere where it provides value. So in regards to leadership, pretty much, I didn't become visible until COVID-19, basically because the customers who I support is one reason why I stayed visible. However, because of COVID-19, I need to come out. I need to meet people. I have no other way to meet people now except for Zoom. So it allowed me to come out and become more visible. So becoming more visible, I became the CISO for Black Cybersecurity Association. I took that on as a project. I volunteered to do that. So we always say, hey, go out and volunteer and do certain things so that you can showcase your work and show individuals that you are here and that you are engaged and that you can actually perform. So I took that on as a volunteer, as their CISO, so that I could literally showcase, and not only showcase, but become the change that I wanted to see, because I didn't really see a lot of Black women in CISO roles. So I wanted to become the change that I wanted to see as well. And taking on that role allowed me to advance into leadership on a whole nother scale, because there was a platform where I literally grew my presence, which was Clubhouse, and created a room called Welcome to the Voice of the CISO, where I literally had global CISOs, thought leaders, individuals just from around the world, literally participating in this room, engaging. I'm engaging with individuals that I would have never thought to engage with. And not only that, the leadership aspect was having these individuals to enter this room and engage And then with the BCA members, giving them access to individuals that they might not come in contact with, giving them the opportunity to literally ask questions and get responses, from thought leaders and seasoned individuals who have been in this industry for years. So that was the reason why Welcome to the Voice of the CISO was created, was to create that platform to give an aspiring cybersecurity individuals access to individuals that they would never have access to. But it just blew up my visibility there as well. So it helped me to understand the presence that we all provide when we are on these platforms. And so I'm humbled by it, because again, I'm an individual who would rather just put my head down and just do my work. But I also love to empower, inspire, and engage, individuals that speak to me. I like to be of value. I don't want to just talk, and I don't want people to look at me and say, oh, she's this and she's that. No, it's like, I want you to walk away knowing that you were empowered by what it was that I provided to you, so that you can go about your day to day and improve yourself, and then pass that information along to someone else. Because that's the value in having the knowledge and being on these platforms, is literally giving back to others. So I enjoy being of service. So that's a part of my leadership, is being of service to others. And that's how I carry about my day to day, even on my job.
Yeah, no, and I so resonate with that, right? Which is why, like, the first question was like, okay, like, share a hack that you did in your career. Let's just get right to it, right? Like, let's give the audience the message again. Here's something that's going to be slightly off the thing, but as someone who would want to enter the field, right, obviously we're going to be overwhelmed with all these like different opportunities, different domains, right? Like, there's just so much of information, so many people, right? What about being vulnerable, right? In security, we often talk about like, oh, vulnerabilities in products, oh, that's a bad thing, like, but being vulnerable and like having vulnerabilities ourselves, or like showcasing like, hey, I need help, or how have you, can you guys share an example of where you have maybe have had to be vulnerable, or kind of open and be like, I need help with XYZ? Like, how does that work in InfoSec?
So this is Gina. Just simply ask the question, right? And engage. I know with my mentees, one of the things that I teach them is to engage. No question is off the table. We're all learning. I'm a continuous learner. I don't care how long I've been in this industry. I'm continuously learning. I'm sure everybody on this platform are continuous learners. So no question is off the table. We should just literally just engage and feel comfortable knowing that I have a question and someone's, available to answer my question. And I shouldn't feel that my question doesn't matter, because apparently it's relevant to where I want to go, or it's answering something that will help me to propel where I want to go. So I'm just, I'm always a person that just says, engage, engage, engage. That's important.
I'll jump in there. So, women and minorities specifically have an issue with this whole idea of being an imposter, right? For some reason or another, we get into our head that somebody else knows more than what we do, just because they're in a particular role. And because a lot of times we may be the only one in the room, we don't have the confidence to ask. And so, unfortunately, when those types of situations are happening, especially within the work environment, having a mentor to actually bounce those ideas off becomes important, but also finding your own voice and your own courage. Because what I need you guys to understand, if you leave here with nothing else, is everybody else has the same insecurities that you have, and silence it's not a sign of strength. It's actually a sign of weakness if you have questions and you don't if you don't ask that question. I understand that, you know, you feel, oh, well, maybe this person won't respect me, or maybe they feel like I should know this, or because you have, especially those that are new, you know, you have those individual insecurities, but if you don't know, you don't know. And honestly, especially, there's just so much out there that you can be listening to, and you know, with all these channels, all these platforms. I'm here to tell you right now, Mary Chaney does not do all of that. I I volunteer my time in my nonprofit. I'm suspect on Twitter. I'll do some stuff on LinkedIn, but in regards to trying to manage all of that, it can honestly be just as stressful to try to stay up on things as it is to try to focus in on what it is that you're trying to learn. So don't, it takes a level of security, and if you don't feel confident to talk about it with, you know, the individuals that you work with, take it to another platform and find your trust. You have to build your board of directors, right? You have to build people around you that you trust when you are in those spaces that you may not be or may not feel secure about. And I have my board of directors. I was on the phone 2 hours with one of my members on Saturday morning talking about some of the things that, you know, I'm going through or I want to go through or what I'm trying to achieve in this space. So finding those trust partners that you're actually being able to take those things to with is important. I mean, I'm on the older part of this aspect. I've been in the field for 25 years. So the way, you know, the younger generation does it is different than the way I would go about doing it. But, you know, the insecurities are the same, right? It doesn't matter whether you're young or you're older. I'm not gonna say old, I'm not old, but if you're older, the insecurities are still there because you are a minority at times. If you're a person of color or a woman in these fields, you naturally have a tendency to feel insecure. But reach out, engage. I agree with Gina. Engage in a trusting environment, right? That you're going to be uplifted and you're going to feel like, okay, yeah, it's okay that, you know, I may not know this, but understand that, you know, building that, you know, group of folks, high and, you know, folks at your level and higher, really, to be able to say it's okay, right?
Apoorv, I don't want to put you in a spotlight here, but I'm curious to know from your perspective, right? Like as a grad student, seeing like all these professionals, and you said you connect with them on LinkedIn and Twitter and so on and so forth. Like, have you ever experienced where you had to like be vulnerable and kind of be like, hey, like, or that like,
Yeah, so I mean, there have been times where I feel like I should not ask this question or this question to some professional on LinkedIn or on Twitter. But and I did made mistakes, like I didn't reach out to people that I should have reached out to because they could have helped me. But yeah, like I overcome. I first of all, I made friends, so because you can talk freely with friends, right? And you meet people, you become good friends, and you can tell them, okay, I don't know about this, or if you have some doubts, okay, should I switch from this domain to this domain, and what do you think about this domain? So they can help there. They can freely talk to you, like what you need, what is right for you, if they are really good friends. The another thing is talking to professional, like everyone, for people who are just starting, they will feel not confident enough to talk to, but I would say just go and message them. Like there will be many time on LinkedIn, like I message someone, I don't get a reply, and it's okay. Like there will be people who don't reply you back, or who will not help you, but you have to keep trying to ask, because getting something out of people who have experience is really good, because they can tell you based on their experience, right? And that's the best advice you can get, like for someone having that years of experience working in the same thing, and if they give you some advice, that is really good. So I think asking two professionals is really important. And yeah, like try messaging on LinkedIn or Twitter, or I mean, nowadays we can't do in-person thing, but yeah, when everything is open, go to conferences, try to talk with others, and yeah, like make friends.
And I want to add here, because I'm doing a poor job promoting my nonprofit at this point. There's a safe space in the Mike community, right? Every month, the third Friday of every month, we have a community call, which is open to the public. And I never get my cybersecurity people to ask questions. But last week was last week, right? We had male feminists on. So we were discussing how women deal with some issues that they may face from unwanted attention, and how these men feel empowered to help women. So we take on different topics. And if you want to go out there and listen to some of our recordings, you can. But coming to that call, it's 5 p.m. Eastern time at the third Friday of every month. It's been that way for almost 2 years now. Getting out there, getting on that call, and bringing to the community those types of questions, because I try to bring in really good speakers that you may or may not have access to in that regard. So that's what I mean by engagement. There are opportunities out there that may not feel as superficial, or as just sending out a LinkedIn message and not getting a reply. If nothing else, Mary's on the call the third Friday of every single month, because it's my call. So that's part of what we're doing to give back to the community. So I would advise you guys to join that. And if you have questions, that's a safe space for you to bring those questions.
I want to echo that, right? That there is some, I guess, adventure in trying to go out and reach out to people on your own. And maybe it's required on some part too, but there are so many groups and organizations and communities and tribes within InfoSec that provide that safe space, right? If nothing else, you can always look at the group's code of conduct and be like, is this some place that I want to go try it out? More than likely, it's going to be a place that, like, come, let's talk. Because I think being vulnerable, and I think all three of you mentioned, like, you want to obviously go and like share your thoughts to people, but identifying who that person is, right? Whether it is a friend, but my friends, like, none of them are in InfoSec. If I talk anything about InfoSec, they're just like, okay, Mansi, like, do you have any guy troubles? Like, what can we talk about that we can, but identifying who is, whether it's coming from like a mentor role or coming from some sort of group, I think that's key. So now going along that line, right? So if we're talking from someone who's new to cyber, apart from the vulnerability and finding communities, right? What kind of skill sets, apart from what it says in the job description, which is like pages long on some parts, and I don't understand why, but what kind of skill sets are transferable across domains, right? Because as a new person, I may not know and have not identified the exact domain that I want to be part of, or if I'm pivoting, right, from like a life science field, from a tech field, from something completely different, what would be like 2 or 3, if you guys could share? That's key.
So I want to say soft skills are always transferable. Communication, written, research, great listening skills. Those are transferable skills regardless of where you are. Written skills, everyone wants to, I want to be a hacker, I want to be a pen tester. But at the end of the day, they don't understand they have to write these reports. And the reports they have to write reports in such a way that, a manager or an executive needs to understand what risk looks like. So written skills, it's really high on the board. That's one thing that I really push. If you're in college right now, think about actually taking some sort of technical writing course. It's really relevant to security. And I think that is not, spoken about enough, that you need to be able to write, in technical writing in particular. Communication, again, another soft skill, because you have to understand first, one, your audience. You have to be able to translate and communicate. If you're speaking to a technical audience, you have to be able to speak the language. If you're speaking to an executive, you have to be able to speak the language. But these are, again, a basics of one-on-one in communication. Understand your audience. These are, again, it's nothing new, but sometimes we forget when we're engaged. A lot of times based upon the topic, and we just literally lose sight. But again, it always comes back to the basics. Know your audience and communication. Listening. You have to be able to listen to understand, first of all, there's an issue. Am I actually hearing what this person is saying to me, or have I already formulated a response and they haven't completed what they're trying to translate to me? So having great listening skills is helpful. So I want to say those soft skills are transferable wherever you go. Research. Again, cybersecurity is about research. We don't know everything, so we've got to go and conduct research. So I would look at that. Organizational skills, being able to formulate what you find and then organize it in such a way that you can now communicate it. That's really good if you're a SOC analyst. You're out there, you're conducting all of this intelligence. How do you organize this intelligence to communicate it, to your SOC manager or the stakeholder where they're impacted? So those are my skills that I would look at being transferable in any field within cyber.
And I'll jump in here. I would like to tell you guys, one, your own personal level of resilience is going to get you much further, because they're going to tell you, and because I'll give you the perfect example. They told me when I came out of the FBI and I started interviewing in private industry that I wasn't qualified because the government didn't understand private industry. Now, you can barely get a CISO role without having some type of government experience, right? So don't believe the hype. Your mental resiliency is very, very important. I am the director of information security and privacy for a life sciences company, right? So every field that you have ever thought about being in, and you want to transition into cybersecurity, whatever that subject matter expertise is, whether it's life sciences, I've done life sciences, I've done banking, healthcare, media, every job has a cybersecurity, every vertical has a cybersecurity element to it. So don't let them make you believe. I mean, I even know a ballerina that transferred into cybersecurity, right? And so don't allow them to tell you that your skills are not transferable. It's trying to now articulate how those skills for a particular job description, right? And there are organizations out there. There are apprenticeships programs out there that Safal Partners is a partner of minorities in cybersecurity. They have a program by which they have apprenticeships. I was struggling with that word. They have apprenticeships that you could actually, if you're transitioning into cyber, you go to one of these apprenticeships programs and then you can get a job. So there are ways to hack it. You just have to not let them tell you it's not transferable, because everything that you do in every field that you've ever been in life, there's not one thing that does not, I could tell you about family law. There is a cybersecurity element to that, because I've had cases in family law. So understand that it's just a matter of figuring out what you love to do, because if you're over insurance, you probably don't want to do, security for an insurance company. You may want to, but it's just figuring out how you now utilize your business knowledge, because business knowledge is 100% important to understanding risk and cybersecurity and privacy requirements. That will go a long way for you to be transferable.
So let me piggyback off of this because my background, right, while I'm in cyber, I am also a licensed cosmetologist and a poet, right? So I have a creative nature, and that's the other side to, working with individuals who are looking to get into cyber, because they always think you have to come from an IT background or some sort of technical background. Well, yeah, I'm a licensed cosmetologist and I'm still licensed and I still write poetry. And so that nature alone, that creative nature, allows me to think out the box. So it's a natural for me, because when we are looking at individuals coming into cyber, the first thing we say is, we need for you to think out of the box, and sometimes it's easy for others and sometimes it's not. And so those who have a creative nature, it's a natural for them. And so the one thing that I say, because of having that creative nature, is that I bring diverse solutions to problems, because I'm all over the place thinking on how to resolve it because of my creative nature. So I want to piggyback off of Mary, because again, you have, different backgrounds and they're all not the same. And while we may be in these careers, you have no idea what we've done. I've worked as a certified nursing assistant, right? And you wonder where empathy comes from. It comes from working with the elderly and the sick. So we have these backgrounds that we bring that don't actually get introduced on the job, because we're sometimes afraid to say what my background really is, because we think that may hinder us. But I'm here to empower you and say, hey, I'm a licensed cosmetologist and a poet. I bring diverse solutions to your problems because I naturally think out of the box. So that's a way to empower people.
That's awesome. Just kind of piggyback, and someone asked this on our Q&A as well, right? So when we're talking about these transferable skills, but now in your own roles, right? What's the most challenging aspect of what it is that you do? And I know that I believe each of you actually play multiple roles. So I guess you can tell us which role you're going to tell us about, and then the most challenging aspect of it. I'll go first while you guys are thinking about it. So my role in the corporate space is to do with this threat intelligence team. And I think the most challenging aspect of it is how to socialize new ideas, right? When you're trying to improve the processes or the systems, how to make it and get that buy-in from the team members and the other business units. So that's where the soft skills, communication, building relations, building friendships. I think each of you have covered that is all very much key. And I guess that's what I struggle with. But yeah.
At my level, as I think across my career, the most challenging aspects of being an executive in private industry is the politics, right? That has derailed me more often than not. I love cybersecurity and privacy. I love building teams. And I usually, because I'm a protector, I'm a fighter, I wish you would confrontational type of thing. I always place myself in between my team and the politics, but the politics of it and trying to get things accomplished and, getting people motivated, because nothing that we do in this space, cybersecurity and privacy, can be done in a vacuum. So you have to coordinate. You actually have to have those skills that you have to play nice with others, and trying to lead by example. Those have been my most challenging times. Have been working with my peers and trying to get them to move on something that's important to the security team itself. We can't do it without you, and then they're dragging their feet. So that has been one of the things that has always irritated me, because my thought process is, I'm here, that this person doesn't pay my paycheck. The company pays my paycheck. I'm here to do what's in the best interest of this organization. We can disagree on the right, what is or is not. However, something needs to get done. So that's what happens when you when you become a people leader and you're dealing with executive level stuff, and it gets worse the higher you go as far as the politics go.
Gina?
So sure, I'll agree with Mary, and also to the just not being seen or heard. You provide value, you're literally there for the mission. And however, a lot of times people are on some personal level stuff way beyond the mission. And I'm not sure if it's because, we're women possibly in this industry that they think we're all there for that. Well, I'm not. I've spent most of my career working with men. And so I'm pretty much, I'm going in for the mission and the impact. And, what can we do, to be of value, to be of service? How can we protect and defend? So I'm in this world of living this. I've been trained for cyber war. Let's come in and let's do this thing. And then everybody else is on something personal. And so that's a challenge for me because, at the end of the day, the goal here is to make an impact and to really help someone with the mission, because the mission is greater than one person and any of the personal issues that people have. And it's like, I just wish they would just leave that at home and understand that they're literally here for the mission, and that's it. And don't take anything personal, right? Because constructive criticism improves us all. We all could stand for improvement, but yeah, that personal side, and then just, having individuals to see you but don't see you, so then you have to be more assertive than the next person coming through the door, or more assertive. And then if you're more assertive, then you get a label, and it's like, wow. So I can't win for losing. So since I can't win for losing, I come in at full steam, because what do I have to lose at this point? I can't win.
I'm getting, yes. And I don't think, I want to hear Apar's perspective, right? I don't think it's just a gender thing. Sometimes I get, like, based on my age or how young or so, and then be like, oh, well, we just know more. I'm like, okay, but here is what so again, that soft skills, those communication skills are so, so much needed, and such, because those are the challenges that we see. What are your thoughts on this?
The challenges, so on my level, I'm more of a technical background, and when creating something like on the coding level or scripting level, it's that people that want you to create something and who don't understand technical stuff, so explaining them, sometimes it's hard. So you have to know, like, both aspects, whether, like, you have to be in their shoes also, and ideally they should be in your shoes also, like they should understand how things work. But it's hard for them because learning non-technical stuff, I would say, is relatively easy than learning coding and technical stuff. I think that's what I think. But yeah, like, this bridge between technical and non-technical thing, I think I faced this once or twice, not many, but yeah.
Okay, I'm going to disagree with
That's
the fact
pretty
that
funny.
non-technical is easier than technical, but I'll keep that to myself. With the last minute that we have left, just a quick, if you could go around the panel with any kind of concluding thoughts or anything else that we have left.
I'll jump in there, and I'll approve. We're gonna have to have a conversation, because I'm a coder by trade, but I haven't been hands-on coding in 20 some odd years. But I don't actually have to know how to code in order to understand the security behind it. But we'll say that for another day. All I would actually say is consistently in regards to your mental resiliency, right? Your stamina, building your stamina, and not allowing outside forces to derail you from the goals that you set for yourself. That is the most important thing, because as you think is as you will achieve. So.
Well put. Gina, approve anything?
Sure. So engage is really important, and know that, when you come through the door, have some goals set for yourself, like some quick wins to make an impact, to show that individual that hired you, that employer, that they did not waste their money or their time, that you are here to make an impact, whether you're an entry level aspiring or someone who's been in the industry for years, but you're literally there to support their mission in their business. You're there to be impactful. And one way to do that is to engage.
I would say never stop learning. I think many people in my circle, they like, whether you have a job or whether you are just studying, I think always learn or try to learn new things, because I think sometimes people like, okay, they got a job and they then been there like for a long time and they stop learning new things. So just try to like learn things that you don't already know. So yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you everyone again for listening to our panel. Thank you to the panelists and David and the rest of the SANS Institute for bringing this and making it happen.
Well, thank you. First of all, Mary, Apurv, Gina, thank you so much. I also really want to thank Mansi. You put together this whole panel. This would not have happened without you. So don't thank me. I'm not the one who needs the thanks here. Thank you all very much. I can just tell, I was reading along in the hallway channel while you guys were talking, and more than most of the other sessions, I think it seems like people are getting good advice, but they're also getting a lot of inspiration from your stories. And so thank you very much. We very much appreciate it.